All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. Today, we're going to be starting a new section called the Imperialism. Now, we're going to start off first with the Crimean War. Okay, so the objective today is to analyze the significance of the French and British people um, joining the Crimean War. We're going to examine the benefits and the problems of two or more states, quote unquote states, joining to form one country. And lastly, we're going to create an argument on whether Russia would have attacked Britain or France if they had controlled the Mediterranean Sea, which you're going to find out in a little bit. Okay, but let's go ahead and start by going to our warm up. All right, so here's your warm up picture. The first question asks you to name three countries that are represented in this picture. So as you can see, there's 6 people there, right? Which country does each person represent? Okay, now I know this might be a little hard, but think of like European countries, okay? Um, like you got two guys who look like they're from Asia, right? From the continent of Asia. So that should kind of help you out narrow a little bit down more. Um, the guy with the knife in his hands, he might be a little difficult for you to get, but if you do get him, you get it correctly. Um, good job, right? Not many people got it. The second question asks you, what do you, what are they doing? What are they doing? So especially look at the guy with the pointy hat. Look at what he's doing, and that should help you to answer that question. The third question asks you to basically predict who do you think is going to get the most. Okay, so that's why the first question is very key. That you try to find and see which country each of these people represents. Because again, it makes your job a lot easier when you get to the third question. So instead of describing the guy with the hat, well, 3 guys are wearing hats, you know. So it's best that you really try to find out which country these people are from. Okay? So go ahead, do that, but we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. So, the Crimean War was a war between Russia and the Ottoman Empire. Now, the Ottoman Empire used to be a big, giant, strong empire. Okay, they're located in current day Turkey. And the thing is, though, however, when the 1800s came around, they really started to lose their strength. They weren't as powerful as they were before, especially in the Baltic area or the Balkan area. Um, they really started to lose their strength. Now, the thing is, Russia, I'm sure you guys have, I told you before, but just in case you forgot or you didn't watch the video, Russia is full of ice, right? They're always having really bad winters and things like that. And Russia was kind of tired of having their ships go through ice and glaciers and things like that. And if they wanted to get away from that, they had to go down and around to trade with like um, Spain and Portugal and Italy. You know, they had to go all the way down around and then around Africa and stuff like that. So it took a while, but they figured if they can get control over the Ottoman Empire is, if you look at the top map, the one in green, right there below where it says like the Holy Land, some of that, to the side that water, that's the Mediterranean Sea. That's warm waters. There's no icebergs or anything like that there. So their ships can just sail on with no problems. Thing is though, if Russia did control that territory and controlled those waters, they would easily become a major power in the world and would basically rival Britain and France. Okay. Um, and so they're figuring, hey, let's do this. And it kind of worked to their benefit because the Ottoman Empire was already weakened. So it's kind of like, well, we need it, we want it, and they're weak right now. So let's attack. So 1853, the Russians invade the Turkish towns uh, Moldavia, and Wallachia. Now, the Ottoman Turks, when this happened, they declared war against the Russians. Now, the thing is, the Russians did have a pretty good army, right? They had like the numbers, but the thing was, their leaders weren't that great. They kind of stumbled through the fighting, but they just had so much people that they could destroy the Ottoman Empire. Because again, the Ottoman Empire didn't have that strong of an army. They had a good defense. They held up for a while, but after a year, it looked like that the Turkish people were going to lose. That the Ottoman Empire was going to fall. So this is when Britain and France jumped in. They said, you know what? We can't have Russia taking over this land. So they jumped in to help the Ottoman Empire. Now, again, Britain is still one of the biggest armies in the world. France, same thing with them too. They have a tough army. So with them now fighting, Russia basically had no chance, and they lost pretty bad. It got to the point where they were losing so much they basically said, you know what, let's strike a peace deal. And it was signed in March 1856, where basically said that Moldavia and Wallachia were under the protection of all the great powers, which was basically Britain and France. So if Russia attacked them again, Russia and France, or Britain and France, sorry about that, they're going to come in and they're just going to straight attack Russia. Okay. So here's your first question. What do you think is more important in a fight? A strong offense or a strong defense? Okay, now before you answer, please take that idea of football out of your head. I've had a lot of students in the past basically talk about, oh, it's good to have a strong defense because then you can intercept the ball. And it's like, we're not talking about football. We're talking about in a fight, you know. And defense not is just blocking blocking hits. It's also avoiding them, withstanding the brunt and like also avoiding it so that you don't get hit. So that's also equivalent to a strong defense. Again, strong offense, the attack, strong tactics, when and where to attack, stuff like that. Okay, so what do you believe is more important to have? And then why do you think that? Give an example. If you say a strong offense, okay, why? And then give an example, a case where a strong offense would be important, or why would it be that important? Okay, so go ahead, do that. Okay, but we're going to be moving on in 3, 2, 1. All right, so here's the thing. Austria is a country that's basically between Russia, Germany, and the Ottoman Empire. Now, during the Crimean War, Russia was like, hey, hey, let's go through your land so we can attack the Ottoman Empire from the side. We can flank them, and everything will be good. The Austrians were like, no, we're not gonna let you go through our land. Because here's the thing, what if you go through our land, you attack the Ottoman Empire, and they start beating you back, right? You're going to bring the war into our country. And we don't want that. We don't want that. So, yeah, this is between you guys. So you guys fight. So after this humiliating defeat, Russia basically isolates themselves from the rest of the world, basically, but mainly Europe, for the next like 20 years. But with that being said, they look at Austria as an enemy. So Russia looks at Austria and like, we probably could have won if you had helped us out, but you didn't. So we'll remember that. Okay. Now it's at this time too that other countries are starting to realize, you know what? We're separated. There are some countries that are broken down into different city states, or little kingdoms, things like that. But they're part of a one big country, but they don't recognize that as being one big country. And they saw, hey, Napoleon, he's taking over areas, the Russians, they're attacking places. We need to unite because if our country is split, they're going to attack, let's say, one half, destroy them, and then they're going to come out the second half. But if we unite, they'll think twice, you know. So Italy was one of those countries who said, we need to unite. The Piedmont and the Italian kingdom, they decided to unite. Germany partially wanted to unite. The Prussians and the Northern German Confederate. Now you're going to learn how one group really didn't want to do this. So like I was saying, Germany actually wanted to unite back in 1848 and 1849, but they couldn't, basically because Prussia didn't want to do it. Right? Prussia was big, bad, and they were like, well, we can take care of ourselves. We don't need to unite. The government was a militaristic one. They had a strong army, The King of Prussia, William I, he actually wanted his army to be even bigger. But the Congress people, the legislative people were like, no. Our army is already the biggest, baddest. Why do we need to put more? We'll create more. No. So what happened is this guy right here with the hat, you might remember him from the warm-up picture. His name is Otto Von Bismarck. And he was basically appointed as a prime minister of Prussia. Now, here's the thing, though. He was a realist. He saw that, to think that, if we do this, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, it's only works in theory. It doesn't necessarily mean that just because you plan it, it's going to go that way. He was thinking more realistic. And things like ethically. What's the ethic things to do? What's right and wrong? And he's like, it's life. Things happen. So we need a plan for that kind of stuff. So what happened was during the legislative, he talked to them saying, hey, we need money for the army. Like the barracks need to be remade. We need to upgrade our weapons. And the legislative people are like, well, okay, but are you going to make the army bigger? He goes, no, I'm not going to make the army bigger. So they give him the money, and he makes the army bigger. And the legislative people are like, you said you weren't going to do that. And his response is basically like, oh well, could care less. Now the thing is, Germany knew, he knew Germany wanted to join Prussia, not because, we're going to fight for our freedoms and things like that. He knew that they wanted to join because Prussia was already very powerful and Germany was not. Germany was not powerful at all compared to Prussia, and he knew that if they combined, that Germany was going to basically be like the little brother, standing behind the big brother, like, hey, if there's a fight, they're going to protect me. And they're like, no, you get yourself in a fight, you take care of it. Don't be coming to us because we have muscle. Don't be saying, we want to unite when you only do it for your own self-preservation. So, yeah, no. Which now brings us to our next question. Have you ever been in a situation where someone needed you more than you needed them? If so, when was this? And what did you do? So like I gave you the example of, like sometimes in school, you have a project in class, and your teacher will be like, okay, you guys need to team up in groups of 3, 5, whatever it may be. And let's say you're a really good artist, and someone in your class goes, hey, won't you be in my group? And it's like you're just asking me because I'm a good artist, and oh, they join, I'll get some credits for because they can draw, you know, or you know where to find the information, you know how to research pretty well, and people ask you to help them, or to join in your group because they know this person can find the work. They know you can find the work. Okay. Even things like in sports, if you're a better basketball player than someone else or a football player, and somebody who's not as good, nowhere near as good, is like, come on, join my team. And it's like, no, you're just going to keep passing me the ball, or you're going to, if we lose, you're going to blame me. And it's like, I played the best game I ever played. You sucked, you know. So if that kind of situation has never happened to you, go to the next part. It says, what would you do if you were in a position of power and weaker people asked for your help? Would you help them? Yes or no? If you say no, why not? If you say yes, would you do it for free, or would you ask for something in return? You know, some gas money, lunch, whatever. You know, would you do it for free, or would you ask for something? Okay, so take a minute, really think about it, and then respond. Okay, but we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. Now we've come to the exit ticket. Remember, you're only going to answer one of these questions. The first one asks you, would the Russians have won the Crimean War if the French and British hadn't joined? Do you think eventually the Russians would have took over the Ottoman Empire and taken control of that territory and the access to the Mediterranean Sea? The second one is, would you say uniting 2 or more states to form one country is a smart thing to do or not that smart thing to do? So again, think of like the powerful countries and the weaker country coming together. Would that be good, bad? And think about people, how people are. Think about that. Especially people in a country where people think, who they know that they're stronger than another country and they're forming together. What do you think? Okay. And the last one says, do you think Russia would have attacked Britain or France if they had control of the Mediterranean Sea? So if they were able to get their boats right to the warm waters and then attack Britain and France, as opposed to going through ice, glaciers, things like that, coming through all this ice to go around, or going all the way down, past China, underneath India, all the way down Africa, up above, keep going up of Africa, and then finally getting to Europe. So do you think if they had access right there, boom, that they would have attacked Britain and France? Yes or no, and why? Okay. So with that being said, that's the end of this lesson. Hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed it. So that's it for me. So you guys have a good day. Take care. Be safe, all right?